It's the Riot Podcast for Wednesday, August 16th, and it's an exciting Wednesday because Nikki is joining us all the way from Florida. Hello, Nikki.
Hello, Hudson. Good morning, Isaiah. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing grand.
We're
So I hear.
we are.
Someone's a little stuffy.
Yeah, a little bit.
We're excellent. We're doing good, right? We've had a good day, and we had a good show today, Nikki, that everybody's about to hear. But I wanted to get your opinion. First of all, of course, it's Would You Rather Wednesday. Nikki, the question was, would you rather have an obsessive, insane person be in love with you or hate you?
Ooh, that's a good question. Who came up with that one?
My idea.
Nice.
Shocker.
Nice. Oh, gosh. I mean, I guess it's probably not good either way, but I assume if they love you, then maybe that's less likely they'll kill you if they hated you. But if they love you so much, they might want to keep you.
That's what I'm saying. It might be, it might be better off dying than being like kept prisoner
Forever.
by a crazy person.
Yeah. I feel like we're watching too many TikToks of crime drama of people being taken. But I guess maybe I would try to err on the side of if they still loved you, maybe it'd be a tiny bit better than if they hated you. So I'm going with that one.
I just think, I'm giving this away for later.
You're gonna expose your take.
I'll expose mine, but
should I expose mine too, and then we just don't air the segment?
No, I still want to hear it all.
Well, I'll just say briefly, I just think it'd be easier to go to a judge or something and to the authorities and say, you got to keep this person away from me. They hate me versus you got to keep this person away from me. They're in love with me.
Now, okay, I see what you're saying, but maybe not, though, because I think stalking a lot of times is usually the person is so infatuated with the other person. They don't know they don't know what's going on. Whereas if they're infatuated, like they hate you, they just take you out, this is not a light topic. I don't know. So I feel like a lot of times if you went to a judge or like the police, they would understand an infatuation one more than, they just tried to kill you. Somebody
in the segment, I forget who it was, but somebody said something very similar to that. So somebody agrees with you. They're like, it makes sense.
Hey, I just want to let everybody know too, next week for the Would You Rather, if someone could pick a nicer topic, that would be nice.
There was a lot of death in ours.
Would You Rathers.
Yeah.
You can text 8772 RadioU or email riot@radiou.com. Let's pick something a little bit friendlier.
All right. You know what, Nikki, why don't we switch to a lighter topic from the show today? Divorce.
Yes.
Would you rather?
We just learned today that divorce rates peak at this time of year in August.
Get ready.
And so the next
Is it because it's hot out or?
Because everybody's done with their summer vacations and it's far enough away from the holidays. But we both had our own takes on this. But when do you think, if you're going through a breakup, if you had to initiate a breakup with somebody, what would be the best time of year to do that?
Well, I guess if you say it's your parents breaking up and they don't want to upset you, the kids. And so you had a great summer and you had one last family vacation and school's starting again or something. So they hit you right now and it's not too close to the holidays. Mm-hmm. So it's actually not a bad idea. It's awful. But again, why aren't you guys talking about nicer stuff?
I feel like this is a good topic, We're just getting the people ready.
Know. Maybe March or April. How about that? Something like March or April.
I said March. I agree with you. I said that it gets you ready for you have a little bit of time where you can be able to be by yourself, but then you're right into the summer. You can be happy again, Gives you a little bit of time.
That's true.
Yeah.
Find someone else.
I had
exactly.
I'm not going to give it all away, but I said that I think January is the best time to break up because I think you should
the end of the holidays or?
Yep. After the holidays, I think might as well, especially if you're
might as well get rid of them.
If you go through the holidays, then you're going to wait till March when, you got Valentine's Day in there. Really? Why
in
not
March?
No, I mean, if you're, let's say you've already decided and you're just going to be I'm going to break up anytime this year, sometime in the next year I'm breaking up. why would you do it right after Valentine's Day?
Well, I said you'd be sad in January. That was what I said.
Yeah.
I said it's a really sad time.
I also feel like there's a difference in our wording here, whereas divorce is something, it must feel catastrophic. I mean, depends on if you're a product of divorced parents and stuff, but we're just saying breaking up, which is
way different.
A little less hurtful.
Although
Not quite as serious.
You could probably argue that if you're getting a divorce, and especially if you have kids, you probably do let's pick a good time of year so that it doesn't destroy our children. Maybe slightly a little less. I don't know if they put that much thought into it.
Or if you've ever had parents who don't like each other anymore, sometimes it's better if they separate for a bit.
Yeah. All right, fine. I've got one more question for you, and this is much nicer. I don't know if you saw, Tyler talked about this on his show yesterday, actually, in the afternoons, that Harrison Ford now has a snake named after him.
Harrison Ford?
Uh-huh.
The Indiana Jones guy?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. It's
like a real snake?
An actual snake they just discovered. If you could,
doesn't he hate snakes?
He does.
In the movies, in the Indiana Jones movies, he hates them. But apparently he's a big conservationist, so that's why it's kind of funny. But also, they had a real reason to name a snake after him. If you could have any animal named after you, what would it be?
Oh, a bear, of course.
Of course.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't want a killer bear. I want, like, this bear is surprisingly gentle, but really majestic. I want one of those.
See, something that aligns with you. That makes sense. We were thinking the same thing. We wanted to have similar values to us.
But unlike the previous two topics, we are not going to reveal our answers of what Isaiah and I said.
I have to hear the whole podcast.
You have to actually listen in, and it's near the end, so you got to buckle up for the entire thing.
And it's shocking. I mean, it is shocking. So you're going to want to hear it.
As shocking as stalking, divorce, and animals can be.
Exactly.
You won't believe which animals Isaiah and I want named after us.
That'll be the hard part to listen to.
Yeah.
All right. Well, enjoy the show, and thanks for joining us, Nikki. We'll catch you next time.
Bye.
See you guys.
Disinformation, mispronunciations, bad impressions. That's Hudson. This is The Riot on RadioU.
This is crazy. Did you know that for the first time ever, more people watched TV, watched streaming services than watched traditional TV like cable and like over the air, the antenna style? This is the first time ever that's happened. It just happened now.
That's pretty incredible. Things are changing.
People are changing their ways, but the way it's interpreted, you would have assumed it's been this way for a long time.
Yeah, that's what they make it out to be.
I think
you're surprised at how many people still have DirecTV and cable and things like that. Does this count? Like, does YouTube TV count as like regular TV, or does that like Netflix and all that jazz?
I think that that would be considered
regular TV, right?
I think that would be considered streaming.
Streaming, okay.
Because if it's over the internet, right, versus cable, which is like delivered in a different way, I don't even know. Maybe that's a gray area.
Gray. We'll mark it down as gray for now.
Yeah, we'll mark it down.
If anyone knows, let us know.
Yeah, but it is surprising that so 20% of TV in this last in the month of July was watched as cable. 29% was broadcast TV. So of course that equals less than 50%. Then you have the other 50% where it all gets chalked up to streaming platforms of different various types. So people have turned away. It's just shocking to me that as big as Netflix particularly has gotten, but also Disney Plus and Hulu and Amazon Prime and all these different things, that never before have more people used that than have been using cable and broadcast.
But this is so far for this year, right?
This was the month of July specifically.
See, now it says at the end of this article, this turns around here in about a month.
What do you think, that it's going to go back, swing back the other way?
100%.
And why is that?
Because you've got college football, NFL, they'll destroy numbers.
Yeah, that's right. You don't watch those on streaming.
Yeah, right when September hits, it'll be right back to cable TV. That's why until they can get that figured out, that'll be the one reason the live sports is the one thing really still killing it with all the regular TV.
Until Netflix gets a deal with the Big 12.
Yep.
Then nothing's gonna Nothing's gonna stand in the way of people just watching TV, watching the old-fashioned ESPN and CBS.
See, I love watching movies on like regular TV.
Uh-huh.
And this is something that gets lost.
Why is that?
Because like when you get on like a regular like DirecTV or something and you're scrolling through, there's only like a couple options of like movies that you're going to pick. You're going to look at like TBS, TNT and see what's on there. And then you have like 4 or 5 options of what you're realistically going to watch. Where if I go on to Netflix, I have so many options that it feels like a waste. Because once I start a movie on Netflix, I have to watch the whole thing. I don't quit halfway through. Yeah. But if I'm on like TNT or TBS and like the commercials are going, I'm only half committed anyway. I joined a fourth of the way through.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like as big of a commitment to me.
That's an interesting way to look at it. Also, added bonus, they edit out all the cuss words.
Yeah, they do.
That's also...
You won't hear a show like this anywhere else. And that's probably for the best. The Worst of the Riot, Radio U.
I don't know if you're like this, but I think I am. I think about the what ifs all the time. And some of the what ifs are actually, like, I guess for me, I play them out to ridiculous ends. You know, like, what if I wake up in the morning, get ready for work, and I come out to the car and it doesn't start? And it's because raccoons got in there and chewed everything up.
Well, that's too much there.
Yeah, that...
You don't need that little extra part.
How could you live your life worrying that way? Or what about this one? Here's one that comes up every once in a while. What if my wife leaves me? Because...
Now that's more realistic.
Because my belly button smells weird. Because it does.
See, my thing has always been, I've always said, I live by this. I've always said, you're not allowed to stress over something that's not 100% for sure.
Yes, I think that's smart. I think that's good advice.
Because then you just realize that you just waste stress in the end.
Yeah.
If you worry about the what if, and then it rolls around at the end that isn't, like, it doesn't end up happening, then you stress night and day over something that didn't even matter in the end.
Yes, that is completely accurate, because it's true. Obviously, some of my ridiculous what ifs, it's just a waste of time. You can't worry about that. You can't plan for if that scenario comes up. But even some of the things that seem a little more realistic,
like your wife leaving you.
Sure, you still wind up thinking about that, and odds are maybe that it's not going to happen. Maybe there's a slight chance, but spending any time on something before you even know, because you can think about it all you want, and then if it actually does happen, that still doesn't mean you're prepared for it. We waste a lot of time on what ifs. And so this is what I found, is that when you're thinking about what ifs and all that uncertainty and what happens if this happens and what happens if this happens and then that happens, here's what you do. You talk to God about it. Because first of all, when you talk to God about it, 95% of the time, just simply talking it out, sometimes it helps you just realize. That, well, this is a ridiculous thing to worry about. Your belly button, really? And sometimes, if that doesn't do the trick, just having the thought, just having that interaction with God, talking to Jesus about it, will let you know that, hey, maybe this what if scenario will come up. But if it does, Jesus is going to have you covered in that case. Jesus has got you taken care of for all of the what ifs, the material, the emotional, and everything in between. He is going to talk with you about it. He will help you through it. And all you need to do, you might be thinking, well, I don't know if I'm really into that kind of thing. It's pretty simple to just test it out. And whatever, the next time you got something you're what-ifing about, talk to Jesus about it. See what happens. I think it's going to really make a difference for you. Want to know more? Check out RadioU.com/free gift.
The only thing Isaia loves more than the riot is himself.
Someone who probably still lives with his mother and hates himself.
You're listening to The Riot on Radio U.
What do you say if you had to do top 5 attractions for a tourist in Chicago?
5?
Yeah.
5 attractions?
Uh-huh.
I don't know. Can we name anything other than just the bean?
The bean. The bean. Well, I mean, I bet you if you go at the right time of year, the Wrigley Field, right, would be pretty big.
There's like a pier or something I went to?
Sure. I went, but no, the bean. The bean is probably the first thing that leaps to mind. And I'm telling you, that a lot of people's trip to Chicago is about to be ruined for a little while because the Bean is now going to be under restricted access. Started earlier this week, construction around Millennium Park in Chicago, which is where the Bean sits, the Bean rests in Millennium Park. And they've now begun construction there, which means that if you're going there looking for the Bean, I mean, you might be able to see it off in the distance, but you won't be able to get up close like you would hope so that you can get right up under the Bean.
So when does this begin?
It's already begun. Monday.
And
Monday.
it ends?
It ends. I don't think they have a specific end date yet.
So this isn't the time to go to Chicago.
Spring of next year.
Okay, so
by summertime next year.
Yeah, and you don't want to go to Chicago in the winter anyway.
No,
it's cold.
Your
it's
Chicago
windy.
time. It probably the window on that closes probably here in the next couple of weeks.
But is it that big of a deal to not see the Bean if you went to Chicago?
Well, what else are you going for, though?
Like,
we just tried to list the other attractions. There's not many.
But like on a vacation, is your vacation destroyed if you didn't see the big thing in that city, you know? Like if you didn't see the big tourist attraction, does it matter that much? Like if I went to, what is it, St. Louis that has the arch or whatever? If I went to St. Louis with my friends and we had a good little trip, how upset would I be that I didn't see the arch? I don't know that I'd be that upset.
But that's like the iconic thing, though. So if I found out that would it ruin my trip? I'm sure I could find lots of other restaurants and things to occupy my time in St. Louis.
Would it make the trip?
I don't know.
The Bean, I'll tell you right now, the Bean doesn't make the trip.
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure I went to Chicago once. I was not there for very long, but I did see the Bean, and I barely remember it.
Yeah, the Bean is not going to be the highlight. If it's a highlight of your Chicago trip, that was not a good trip.
You probably
to
didn't
Chicago.
have a good trip.
No, you need to do some other things because it's just like one of those things you have to go see. It's like going to see the Statue of Liberty. Like, is it that great? I mean, it's cool. I guess it's in the water. Like, it's not even like a skyscraper.
It's on its own little island.
It's kind of tall. I mean, it's a statue. How cool is it to see? It's okay, but it's one of those things that you have to go see.
Yeah, you just have. Yeah, what are you going to tell people when you come back from Chicago and they go, "Did you see the Bean?"
I said the Bean's under construction.
Yeah, you say no, I didn't. But you could tell them this because I just learned this. You know, the Bean isn't a bean at all.
What's the Bean?
The Bean. Well,
bean doesn't even sound like a real word. We've said it so many times.
Which it makes sense that it's not a bean because why would the city of Chicago? It's not even Boston. In Boston, it makes sense. In Chicago, why would they put a big reflective bean in the middle of one of their biggest parks? So it's not a bean. They call it. Its true name is Cloud Gate.
What the heck does that even mean?
It's a sculpture.
Oh, so it's just abstract.
It's art, and we all collectively view it as a bean, which I can't imagine the artist would be very pleased with. But what are you going to do?
But at the same time,
you probably got paid a lot.
It's a way easier name to remember.
Yeah, because that's what it is.
If it was called, have you ever seen Cloud Gate? Nothing named Cloud Gate has ever been like a worldwide known tourist attraction.
And with a name like Cloud Gate, it would have much higher expectations to me.
Than the Bean.
Yeah, did you see the Cloud Gate? No, but that sounds really cool. Did you see the Bean? No, but it doesn't sound that great. A giant bean.
I saw the Bean.
The world's biggest bean covered in mirrors. Yeah. All right, well, just be warned if you're headed Chicago way, the Bean is closed.
The only thing Isaiah loves more than the riot is himself.
Someone who probably still lives with his mother and hates himself.
You're listening to The Riot on RadioU.
Now, you know, it's the end of summer. A lot of people today start moving into college, I saw. It's big move-in day.
My brother's moving in this weekend.
There you go. Proves my point. And with the end of summer, also apparently comes the beginning of divorce season.
I'm in danger.
Dangerous time for some.
Yeah, it's trouble. It's trouble right now. Divorce rates consistently peak in August is what I'm seeing here. And so you might be wondering, first of all, why? Why is now the time that couples get divorced? You have any good ideas?
Maybe like the fun of the summer is coming to an end. Reality is setting back in that they don't go to, they don't live at the lake house. They don't get on a boat every weekend. The winter is coming. you're going to be trapped inside with this person for a long period of time where you guys are just going to be watching movies together, and maybe you no longer want that.
Yeah, maybe many times it's easier to get along when you're out and about doing fun stuff, but then when it's just back to the humdrum home life, you start to realize this isn't the person that you want to spend so much time with. According to experts, they say that couples often think that summer will help them rekindle their relationship with extra bonding time, but that often only emphasizes the issues that are bubbling beneath the surface in a marriage. Also, it says family vacations are often over, so it's not going to disrupt any of that, and it's about as far enough away. It's the end point between vacations and the holidays.
Yeah.
And that factors in as well. Let me ask you this. This is when most people get divorced, when most people end things. But what do you think is the best time if you're going to split up?
Tough to say. I think it depends on how far along you are in the process.
Mm-hmm.
If you're fairly certain, and this goes for just like regular breakups too, especially regular breakups, actually, I lean more into rather than divorces, because that's a little bit more complex, a little bit more serious.
Yeah, right.
But just
I don't know. We don't have any experience with that.
Yeah, so just like with actually ending regular relationships, I think if you're fairly certain it's going to end, then the best time to do it is like in March.
Okay, and why is March the best time?
Because I think you're going to be, like, if you do it right before the winter time, the winter is when everybody's the most lonely. Like, you're inside by yourself, so that transition period where you're, like, trying to, like, figure out doing your own thing in a relationship, I just feel like the wintertime is when I'm the most sad. Mm-hmm. And so that post-breakup, whether you're the one who does it or not, there's still sadness that goes with that. So if you're doing that in January, I mean, January is a depressing month. You're just, like, sitting inside all the time. But if you do it in, like, March, then you're planning everything out for the summertime. You can plan everything out for you and not for, like, you and someone else. So you can plan out vacations and stuff with your friends and give yourself things to do, going to the pool, having outdoor activities. There's always lots of stuff in the summer.
Yeah.
And so that's a good time to kind of get over a breakup is during the summertime. So maybe March, it's in that sweet spot. You can be sad for like 2 months, but then you can have the summer that you really wanted.
To me, I think this is going to be, it's close to the same time as you, but different. I think January. And I'll tell you why. Because I think you don't want to, I think through the holidays, what's worse? Going to the holidays with somebody you don't really get along with, but then at least I always feel like with couples, they say you're supposed to have a common goal. A lot of times your common goal at family stuff around the holidays can be like both being upset together at the other people in the family. And so you get through that, and then you hit January. But what would be worse? Going to the holidays all alone that you just went through a breakup? That's not going to be fun for you. So you wait it out till January, and then boom, you have January. You can go through Valentine's Day. You'll feel real good as a guy. You'll be like, hey, everybody else spending all this money, doing all this stuff for me.
I'm sure you won't miss your girl at all.
Yeah, if you're the one breaking up, if you've made up your mind,
that doesn't mean that you're just immune to sadness.
No, but if you've made up your mind, you put it behind you by then, and then that time you're feeling good, and then the springtime comes along. And all of a sudden, you're ready to either plan a solo summer, which can be possibly fun, or you're, that's prime time for finding a new match. So I say January.
January gives you 6 months to figure it out before the summer.
That's right.
We're not sure who behaves worse, the Riot or their dogs.
I don't even know how to behave like a real human being.
The Riot, RadioU.
It's time for things to change with Xbox. You ever jump on there? You play a few video games, and what happens? People just acting like fools.
People are being bad.
They just
in those lobbies, man.
Yeah,
they're rough.
Yeah, it can be a real unfriendly place, which is why Xbox has announced that they are going to start trying to curtail bad behavior and just be a little more transparent about it. Because in the past, some people, you'd get punished on Xbox. Maybe somebody reported you for something and you get punished, but it's not really clear why. It's not really clear why one person gets one punishment and one person gets another. And so Xbox is now going to have a real transparent policy where the slate is going to be wiped clean for everybody, but they're going to start letting you know how many strikes you have on your account. And you know the old adage, Isaiah.
3 strikes and you're out, buddy.
Yeah, but not on Xbox. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 strikes, you're out. When you're playing Xbox.
8 strikes?
You get 8 chances. 8 chances to clean up your behavior, to clean up your act, or that is when you get a real long ban.
When do you start getting worried? I think once you get to 5.
5 strikes?
Yeah,
That's
because
when
you got to think, these 8 strikes are for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And so
And then that's it.
And then you get a real long ban. So, like, you're going to be able to accumulate some strikes over the years if you're a risque player or if people hate you on the game.
Uh-huh.
Because people are going to report you. Even if you just beat them.
Oh, yeah.
They report you. Even if
I do that to people all the time.
Yeah, if you beat me in a way that I don't agree with, reported.
Always.
Get them off the game.
Yeah, definitely.
He's spamming it. Get them off the game. Whatever it is, I don't like it.
Yeah, I just make stuff up.
And
I'm just like, yeah, he said something racist. I don't know.
You get him off the game.
Somebody's got to read this report, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Some human being has to see this and know that I was upset that I lost.
Yeah, you lose by 50, this kid destroys you, then all of a sudden, report him.
Yeah.
Send him off. Send him packing. And the good thing for us is if we log on there, we don't beat anybody.
Yeah, so we're not going to
nobody's
get
going to report
reported.
us. And I'm not going to say anything bad either.
Now, here's where it would be a problem. Is it a strike to file a false report?
Ooh, that could get us.
Like when you're talking police, that definitely is a crime, right?
It is a crime. False report, yeah.
On Xbox, if they start cracking down on me reporting other people when I lose, I could be in trouble.
But that's just your word versus his. You know?
That's right. That's
and they're
true.
going to take your side on that.
They can't disprove that I felt wronged.
Yeah.
And that's just my feelings.
I think once you get to 5 strikes, you need to just get the mic off.
Yeah.
Take the mic off. You can't be risking with the mic anymore. I think maybe 4 strikes. You get to 4 strikes, you should unplug your microphone forever.
Did you realize this though? I mean, what's the difference between a lifetime ban and a year ban? But the 8 strikes actually doesn't ban you for life. It bans you for 1 year.
But 1 year to somebody is like a lifetime.
It feels
to
like
some of these kids.
That probably would kill if you had an addiction to video games. You take a year off. Yeah, I think you're done.
Imagine like a 12-year-old getting banned for a year. You know, like that would be the end of his 8th grade year or 6th grade, whatever age that is. He would be so upset.
I think it's good that they're doing this, though. I think it at least is good that people will know where they stand. And they say that basically barely anybody ever gets 1 strike. And of the people that get 1 strike, nobody gets 2. So you should feel okay about it.
If you get to 8 strikes,
yeah,
you deserve a year ban.
You definitely. It probably, if not more.
We're not sure who behaves worse, the Riot or their dogs.
I don't even know how to behave like a real human being.
The Riot, RadioU.
Do you think that it's important for kids to learn financial responsibility? Of course it is, right?
Yeah, it's a big part of life.
So where should they learn it from?
Just a myriad of different places. A little bit everywhere.
Because I have here a survey that says 64% of parents say they try to teach their kids financial competence.
At least some are trying.
Yeah, that's the majority of parents. But what's the problem? A lot of parents these days, they're not that financial competent themselves, are they?
They're not.
I would say what did we talk about last week? That we've hit $1 trillion in credit card debt in the United States. That doesn't sound particularly financially competent to me.
Sounds like a lot of people are doing some silly things.
Yeah. So what if we got the schools involved? 82% of people say that financial competence should be taught in school. What do you think about that?
I think that's not a bad idea. I think there's a lot of schools that have done that. People always say that.
Yeah.
But I've taken financial classes before.
You could take financial classes in some
schools.
places. Yeah.
Yeah.
You think here's my thing. I think it makes sense that schools would teach that. Like they should. They should teach you how to do your taxes and teach you how to make a budget and all that good stuff. I just always wonder with that kind of thing. Like, are you really, as a teenager, you really going to retain any of that?
See, that's what I'm going to say. I 100% agree.
You agree, don't you?
I think, this is what I think, is you think about how many classes you took or whatever and you wasted.
Yeah.
Like I learned Spanish when I was in high school.
Exactly.
I don't know any Spanish. And the other thing, too, this is what's wild, is even if you take this class, that doesn't even mean that you're going to do half the things that you should.
Yeah.
I think people just look for a reason to blame it on the schools. Like, how am I supposed to know how to write a check when the school never taught me how to do that?
Yeah.
How am I supposed to know how to invest in stocks when the school never taught me how to do that? It's like every other thing. There's tons of things that schools didn't teach you how to do that you do every single day.
Yeah.
If you wanted to learn it, you would just go to YouTube like you do with everything else. Think about every video game that you've learned to cheat in. They teach you that at school? No, but you know by heart because you went to YouTube and you watched a YouTube video on it. If you wanted to learn about investing or getting a Roth IRA or any of these important things that bad, then you would just go online and you would learn it just like you do with everything else that you didn't learn in school.
Yeah.
Everybody just looks for the out of, well, they didn't teach me that in high school. They taught me math or they taught me statistics that I don't even use today. If you wanted to learn it so bad, you would go learn it. And whoever you would have taught you in high school, you probably wouldn't have listened to them anyway.
Exactly. No, it's perfect what you said, learning a different language. There'd be stuff that you'd still remember. There's stuff I still remember from like history class, but the stuff that really sticks with me is stuff that I've learned more recently in life because I actually took interest in it and needed to know it. Where the thing is, when you're growing, if you're going to high school, you don't need a budget.
No.
So it's just gonna feel, whether it's your parents teaching you or whether it's your teachers teaching you, it's gonna feel like you're just not gonna care. You might as well be learning a different language that you'll never speak.
And people will say, but I'll know. I would have known that that's important. Well, if it's so important, then why don't you go learn it now?
Figure it out now.
Then why don't you go online and you just Google?
It's not a secret.
Financial competency, because guess what? So many people along the way have figured it out. Oddly enough, they're like 30, 40 years old. So many people that are 24 right now already have a Roth IRA going. And if you don't know what that means, you probably should go Google it.
I think maybe they don't need to teach you they can still teach you a budget and everything. They should just really teach you how to not get into a hole when you're you're working at Chipotle.
Add a little riot to your Instagram feed. Follow @RadioU Official. The Riot. Radio U.
It's Would You Rather Wednesday, and our question today is a big one, a biggin, as we say. Would you rather have an obsessive, insane person be madly in love with you, who you don't love, by the way? I think that should be made clear. Or would you rather have an obsessive, crazy person hate you? Answers are coming in. Isaiah, I see here that Brian says he prefers love.
Makes sense.
And Tim texted in. He says love because they won't kill you. Tim, have you seen the movies?
What are you talking about?
Have you seen the movies?
What movies are you talking about?
The movies. Have you seen the movies?
Where someone loves you and they kill you?
They love you so much. We're talking about keep in mind, insane person. They say if you have an obsessive, insane person love you, there's a good possibility that you won't be able to have a relationship with anybody else because this obsessive, crazy lover that you have would be like, if I can't have you, nobody can.
But listen, Hudson. There's no way there's a higher chance of someone loving you so much that they're going to kill you rather than someone hating you so much that they're going to kill you. You're in way more danger if someone hates you.
Which is why I think hate would be the right answer.
That's
I'll tell
so
you
incorrect.
Why. Because
I vehemently disagree.
Well, no, go ahead and present your case if you have one.
What I would say is obviously the threat of death.
Mm-hmm.
Is the number one thing.
It exists.
I don't want to have to look over my shoulder my whole life and worry about someone possibly killing me rather than coming up to me and trying to make out with me or something, I guess.
Yeah.
The other reason is I think for a long period in your life, you could actually use this person to your advantage.
Okay. What are you going to manipulate them?
That's not that you're manipulating them.
So what are you doing?
But it's like if you get caught in a jam and all of a sudden you need a ride to the airport, who are you going to call? You know who you're going to call. If you find yourself stranded on the side of the road and your tire's flat, you have no one to call, you know who you're going to call. There's many situations like that. You find yourself in a jam, this person could come in hand for you. This is a positive.
Yeah,
I can't think of any positives. There's someone wanting to kill you, someone who hates you so much. That's insane.
Don't think that it's necessarily so easy as you make it seem to keep this person at arm's length, that they love you, but they're just going to leave you alone most of the time. But then when you call with your beck and call of a flat tire, that they're just going to come running, but the rest of the time they're going to leave you alone. It doesn't work like that.
But at the same time, at least there are some positives here. I couldn't come up with any positives to someone who hates you so much that they essentially want to murder you.
The positive is if somebody hates you that much, if they're obsessive, and keep in mind this person, obsessive is one thing. We also included crazy, insane. This person is not well. And so you don't know how they'll behave. But I'll tell you that a person who hates you, I think odds are there's probably going to be some kind of paper trail along the way that showcases to some kind of judge and jury, hey, this person's dangerous. They won't leave me alone. They're sending me angry messages. They're coming to my house. They're bothering me, and I want to have some legal protection against them. But a person who loves you, what are you going to say? What do you say to the court? Yeah, they keep trying to make out with me. Like they love me. I don't know what to say.
You just made it seem like 10 seconds ago. Have you ever seen the movies, Hudson?
Yeah.
Where they want to kill you?
Yeah, but if
that was your argument 30 seconds ago, and now you're like, what are you going to tell the judge? They're dangerous all of a sudden?
Yeah, it's not going to work.
What do you mean? You just went back on your argument
because they're not. No, I don't. I just think that.
Are they trying to kill you or not?
They both will try to kill you eventually, is what I'm saying. Okay. Unless you also fall in love with the obsessive crazy person. But for me, I feel like if somebody's crazy, I'm probably not going to fall in love with them.
Yeah, you're not going to fall in love with them.
Which means I need to keep them away. And I think it's easier to keep them away if they hate you.
So do you have any positives to someone who hates you? Like I came up with?
That I could go to a court and say, this person won't leave me alone.
Oh, so like a restraining...
They're threatening me.
You're throwing out a restraining order.
Yeah.
Got it. So, nobody has ever done that with a boyfriend or girlfriend, obviously. Like an ex. No one's ever gotten a restraining order for an ex. I think that's actually the most common restraining order that anyone's ever gotten.
Because they start to hate you.
Yeah.
Because they can't be with you. Because they're your ex.
Kind of like someone who's insanely in love with you. I
think it's definitely it's harder to prove in that case. So.
Okay.
Add a little riot to your Instagram feed. Follow @RadioU Official. The Riot. Radio U.
Would you be proud if you got a snake named after you?
Like the actual animal's name, or like, is it like a nickname of the snake, or like the...
Oh, you mean if somebody was just like, hey, this is my pet snake. I call him Isaia.
Yeah. Or if it's a whole like...
Yeah, like a species.
Genre of snake.
Species, some would call them.
Some people.
Yeah. Would you...
Which one do I prefer?
Well, would you like either?
I think it'd be kind of cool. It wouldn't be my preferred animal.
Uh-huh.
I don't really feel like I reside with snakes.
You don't think you embody a snake-like persona?
No, I'm not slimy like that.
Snakes aren't slimy.
Yes, they are.
No, they're nice and smooth.
They're slippery,
to the touch.
dude.
They're not slippery.
Yes, they are.
You ever held a snake?
I don't need to hold a snake to know that those guys are up to no good. I'm not talking about the texture of their body.
Uh-huh.
I'm talking about what they're all about.
Oh, you mean their attitude?
Yeah, it's like if they name foxes after me. Like, am I sly like a fox? Maybe I am.
Yeah, that's probably.
But am I slimy like a snake? Maybe I'm not.
Yeah, I think you could be.
Another reason I wouldn't want raccoons to be named after me.
Why? Because
we just don't reside on the same. We don't have a lot of the same values. Raccoons and I.
Yeah. Okay. Now, which animal would you like to have named after you then?
That's a good question. I don't know if I'm ready for that answer yet. You need to continue on, and I'll come back to you.
I'll tell you.
That way I can get it thought out.
Somebody does have a snake named after them, a brand new species of snake. You believe they still discover new species of animals these days?
Isn't that crazy?
You'd think they would have found them all, but they haven't. They just found researchers between Peru and the United States. They work together. They've been doing this mission in the Andes Mountains in Peru, and it led them to discover a new species of snake. So far, they've only found one individual snake like this. but they decided to name it Tachyminoides harrisonfordies.
Wait, what was it?
Tachyminoides harrisonfordi.
The first time, I get Harrison Ford, like it's Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
The whole Tachyminoides.
I don't know. I think you know in like when they discover animals and they're in like the Latin tree, and so there's like a genus and stuff like that, you know.
Got
so
it.
I think maybe the Tachyminoides is like the genus or something, and then there's the species or something.
Genus of snake.
And then
in the family Colubridae.
There we go. Now we know.
That's tough
So,
lingo there.
anyways, the point is they named it after Harrison Ford, which is ironic. I don't know if you know this, but in the Indiana Jones movies, where Indiana Jones portrayed famously by Harrison Ford, Indiana Jones is scared of snakes. That's the one thing he hates.
Got it.
But that's not why they say they named it after him. They actually named it after him because Harrison Ford, a noted conservationalist, so they wanted to give a little hat tip for his environmental advocacy. And now, for the rest of time, he's going to have a snake named after him, Harrison Fordy.
Well, that's cool at least. Will he own one? That'd be my next question. Will he buy one?
So far, there's only one individual snake, as in like one.
Oh, because they just found him, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. Harrison Ford, he's 80 years old. I don't know if that's going to work out for him. So
Maybe,
did you figure out which animal you'd like to have named after you?
See, I don't know. If I had to pick one, I think it'd be kind of cool if I had maybe a fish that was named after me.
What makes you and fish vibe?
Because I would probably pick one that's not all that aggressive. And because I think it'd be cool if people could catch it. And they'd be like, look, I caught an Isaiah. I think that'd be kind of cool. If I had to do that, maybe a dolphin. That's another one.
And then people could say there's plenty of Isaiahs in the sea.
Yes, there are.
Yeah.
So what about you? Do you have one? I thought of like a bunch of nice animals, like a dolphin, maybe a bunny rabbit. A dog would be the coolest one, of course.
Dolphins aren't as nice as you think. I definitely pick kangaroo. I think kangaroos and I fit well. We're both in excellent shape, very intimidating, but also fun-loving. And I think that sums me up pretty well.
That just sounds like you. If I know Hudson, that's Hudson.
Find more Riot content online. Riot.radiou.com.
Now, Isaiah, first of all, let's establish, are you or are you not in any part Native American?
Maybe I am.
I have to think about it for so long.
Well, my great grandfather, kind of a controversial figure.
Okay.
In some cities.
Yeah.
General Tecumseh Sherman.
Was a fighter for the Union Army, right?
Yeah, but he burned down the city of Atlanta. There were some complications to his tenure as general.
Yeah.
But Tecumseh, General, Sherman, Isaiah. But not enough to where I could make any real decisions.
What do you mean? You can't speak for the Native American community, you wouldn't say.
I wouldn't say that.
But you could speak, I would say, for Cleveland baseball fans.
I could.
All right.
I am a Cleveland baseball fan.
Well, you can weigh in on this then. I'm not sure if you've heard of the Native American Guardians Association.
Native American Guardians.
They also go by NAGA for short.
What was it again?
NAGA. And their motto is educate, not eradicate. According to their website, the Native American Guardians Association is a nonprofit organization advocating for increased education about Native Americans, especially in public educational institutions, and greater recognition of Native American heritage through the high-profile venues of sports and other public platforms. They've made a name for themselves recently because in the wake of the Washington football team getting sold, they launched a petition to change the name of the Commanders, the Washington football team, back to the Washington Redskins. That petition has around 100,000 signatures. People have gotten behind that. Now they're turning their attention. Ironically enough, the Native American Guardians Association has started a new petition to change the Cleveland Guardians name back to the Cleveland Indians.
See, I said in the beginning I've said this since the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I said the Guardians are not going to stick. I said
The Cleveland Guardians.
Yeah, the Cleveland Guardians are not going to stick.
Uh-huh.
I thought they were going to change the name again. I did not think that it was going to stick, and not because I think it's a bad name, but I think that once you change it once, then you're just open to as many changes as you want.
You just get change happy.
The Washington football team.
Yeah.
Then what do we have next? The Washington Commanders. Could it change next year? I would not be surprised.
It sounds like the owner is open to it, which is where this whole situation comes from.
Because once you change it once, nobody has any attachment to this name. It's not like we're changing the Yankees name.
Nobody
that
grew
would be
up.
Crazy. We've already done the hard part. We've already broken up once. What's to say we couldn't get back together and break up again? I mean, it's a lot more likely the second time, right?
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where I am with this. Do I think it's going to go back to the Cleveland Indians? No. Because they already tore off the Band-Aid. It'd be crazy to go back.
That feels fairly different, which was surprising that it took longer for that to change than the Redskins, but it definitely feels different.
See, I would say the Indians, we won't go back to that, but I said in the beginning that we should have been the Cleveland Tribe because we've always gone by the Tribe, and so we could have kept at least some of the like heritage and whatnot of the previous Indians and kept it with the Tribe,
but in a more respectful way.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there you go. Solutions-oriented guy. Maybe you should hit up the Native American Guardians Association and present that argument to them.
Because I know that we can't go back to the Indians now because even if whether it's offensive or whatever it is considered, people are going to be upset about it.
Some people will say it's offensive, which is why I think I'd still be surprised if the Redskins came back too. But I don't know. There's a lot of people. Is 100,000 people a lot?
No. Wait, 100,000?
100,000.
That's a good amount of people.
That's how many people have signed the Redskins one. As of this time, about 2,000 have signed the Indians one.
But that's not very many at all.
No, yeah, you can't go around changing things based off of that.
You won't hear a show like this anywhere else. And that's probably for the best. The Worst of the Riot, RadioU.
And so what I want to know is the best roller coaster you've ever been on. I think there's a wide variety of opinions because there's just the biggest roller coaster everybody could name, but that doesn't mean it's your favorite.
That doesn't mean it's the best.
Yeah. Sometimes... but
there is a certain level that you have to reach, I think.
Yeah, like you wouldn't want to put,
I'm not going to say
a kiddie coaster.
Yeah, that can't be the best. I think you have to reach a certain level to be like a favorite or the best. Like there has to be some sort of a little bit of a fear factor.
Yeah.
Some sort of a drop involved, maybe, at least for me. But it kind of depends on what tickles your fancy, you know?
Yeah, so some of the text coming in so far. Jeff says Universal Orlando's Velocicoaster.
I need a little more when you're saying it. Universal Orlando's Velocicoaster. The Velocicoaster.
He says best coaster ever.
Ooh.
You know, I've never been to Universal Orlando, so I don't know, but I will make a point.
It's a heck of a name.
To hop on that. It is a good name.
The Velocicoaster?
That actually is a part of it. I think if
the name's important.
Yeah, you can't come in here and give a lame name for a roller coaster and still say that it's the best. Philip texted in from Kings Island. He says, The Beast.
The Beast.
Yeah, that's a classic.
That's a good one.
That's as far as wooden coasters go, that is about as good as they get. And I actually like wooden coasters a lot.
Wooden coasters?
Yeah, versus the metal option.
I'm okay on wooden. I think they're all right. Sometimes they're just so rough.
Yeah,
some of the ones that I've been on, they're kind of tough. I mean, you get off them and you're kind of hurting a little bit. But if it's a smooth wooden coaster, it can be pretty good.
Chloe texted in. She says, definitely the Time Traveler.
Ooh, the Time Traveler. I've never ridden that one either.
That's at Silver Dollar City. I've never been there.
Silver Dollar City?
Yeah. Have you been to Silver Dollar City?
I've never been to Silver Dollar City.
I don't even know if I've heard of it. Some of the other good ones. We got Stacy saying Space Mountain at Disney World.
Oh, Space Mountain's good.
That's a classic.
I remember the first time I rode Space Mountain, I was deathly afraid.
Yeah.
I was like 9 years old, and I was very, very nervous.
Yeah, I've been to Disney World 3 times, and I think the first time, and possibly the second, I'm not exactly sure, I was too scared to ride Space Mountain.
Oh, really?
I didn't think I could handle it.
You were too scared?
I did eventually get around to it. For me, here's some that come to mind for me. I haven't been on as many coasters recently. The most recent coaster I could say I enjoyed at Dollywood, the Lightning Rod. That's a lot of fun.
The Lightning Rod.
The Lightning Rod.
At where? Dollywood?
Dollywood.
Okay.
I think, if I had to say best coaster, I think it comes down to two for me. I really enjoyed Storm Runner at Hershey Park.
Storm Runner. I've been to Hershey Park.
Uh-huh.
Storm Runner's a heck of a name, too.
That's a good name. And then also, this is a funny one, at it used to be a Six Flags. It's in Darien Lake in New York. And so it used to be a Six Flags, so the ride used to be Superman Man of Steel, but then eventually they sold it to whatever, and so they had to take the Superman stuff off of it, so then it was just called Man of Steel, because apparently they can get away with that.
I feel like that still would be some copyright
You would
issues
think
there.
so, right? That's what they called it, and it was pretty intense.
So those are some of your faves?
Those are some of my faves, yeah.
I would say my two favorites both occur at Cedar Point.
Okay.
There's a newer, it's newer, it's not super new, but it's newer. It's called the Val Raven.
Okay. I like that name.
Oh, it's a phenomenal coaster.
Yeah.
Gets you to the edge, like stops you. You look over the edge, and then it drops you. Super smooth, real good. Longtime favorite of mine. Probably my number one favorite of all roller coasters would be at Cedar Point as well. I'm going to go with the Maverick, which isn't like the biggest drop.
Yeah.
But every time I go, it was just my favorite one to ride. I always had the most fun on it. Like the biggest drop or so, like the Millennium Force that I've ridden there too. Super nice, super fun, really popular. But the Maverick has just a sweet spot in my heart.
You might remember this at Cedar Point. My favorite one was the one where you stand up. The name escapes me.
The Mantis used to be called. It's closed now.
What?
Too dangerous, they said.
Too dangerous.
That's why you loved it.
Yeah, that's right. I eat danger for dinner.
That's enough of that. For more Riot content, head to riot.radiou.com.